All right. I know people ain't know that I was going live, but we out here. I'm reading this book. It's called The Iceman Inheritance, Prehistoric Sources to Western Men's Racism, Sexism, and Aggression. And, you know, I wanted to get started. So for those that don't know, this book is a little, you know, racist, but it's not like how you thinking, but it's a good ass book. You'll learn a lot. It teaches you about their psychology, the way they think, why they think the way they think, and so forth. And so I'm gonna read chapter one, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we go. Chapter one is called Greek Gifts, Western Technology. It says, this book is racist, for among other things, I will attempt to show that racism itself is a predisposition, but of one, is a let me start over. So it says, this book is racist, for among other things, I will attempt to show that racism itself is a predisposition of but one race of mankind, the white race. I believe that I can show that our current vision, contemporary crisis, uh, like racism itself, have their origins and prehistory of the white race alone. We attribute various threats to our survival to man's folly, but this is a conscious and self-protecting euphemism. Nuclear war, environmental pollution, resource rape, all are primary threats to our survival, and all are the result of peculiar Caucasoid behavior. Oh my gosh. Oh, let me aim back this camera up. There is no way to avoid the truth. The problem with the world is white man. If this insight has generally escaped us, it is only because we Caucasoids have dictated much history, written most of it, and judged it in terms of our own self image. But we have never looked at ourselves in an objective biological mirror, and this is what we shall now proceed to do. Our racial psychology has brought the world to the brink of disaster. We therefore have some obligation to attempt to correct matters, and there isn't much time. The task is a hopeless vanity. The obligation is betrayed if we are unwilling to try to know ourselves, even if we undertake racial psychoanalysis and good faith. Difficulties arise. There are so many defense mechanisms designed to obscure the profile of our Caucasoid racial personality. For instance, one of the most potent contemporary defense mechanisms is the existence of liberal anthropology. The tendency of modern anthropology is to deny the very concept of race. It is a position most vehemently articulated by Ashley Mataglu. Among contemporary writers, I would argue that the denial of racial behavior differences is is at best Greek. Oh my gosh. Fly. Come on, man. How we gonna do? Oh, shit. Um, I will argue that the denial of racial behavior differences is at best a Greek gift that serves to cloak our true nature. The denial of race and racial proclivities. There we go. Is a mechanism to disguise the white race proclivity for racism. I had to say it so many times, y'all. I had to say it like so many times, like the word has had to get in my head to like say proclivity. All right, I'm putting a hat on because I'm, obviously bald. I know people don't care about that, but whatever, man. We out here. Um, as a defense mechanism, the denial of racial differences is potent in our time because so many people eagerly embrace it more as an article of faith than a reasoned position. But although Matugu and allied writers have welded together a strongly supported tenet of modern liberalism, the strength of the anti-race posture is the strength of many, quantity, not quality. The denial of race, I'm gonna kill this fly. The denial of race and racial proclivities. There we go. Proclivities. Damn. There we go. Um, don't you hate when you like say a word and you like say it over and over? This fly is killing me. And you over here trying to get the word right, and you know in your head the word is right, and then you gotta say it like at least 5 times to be like, okay, yeah, this is the word. That's what I was going through. Like I know a lot of readers go through that though. You know what I mean? Shit. Um, like most faiths, is vulnerable to facts. Unfortunately, for the credibility of modern liberalism and contemporary anthropology. Hold up. Um, hold up. I'm sorry. Truth is enshrined by facts and not by consensus. No matter how well intentioned we will look at the facts. Other defense mechanisms are more formidable because they boast at least a grain of truth. The grain is magnified, and the lens of racial vanity into the small speck appears to eclipse the whole. Our perspective is distorted, our values deranged, our reflection is cosmic size, cosmetized, cosmeticized. Hold up, I'm gonna kill this fucking fly. Okay, all right, here we go. Y'all enjoying the read? I want to make sure y'all enjoying the read. How y'all doing today? Okay, cool. Here comes the grain of truth. Progress. Progress is vindication of all the crises which threaten our survival. It is the materialist conception of hope itself. And if little good can be said of us and our civilization, we Caucasoids can be proud that we brought progress to them. After some hard thinking, medicine and literacy are generally cited as benefits enjoyed by them. The profits course occur to us. My fault. Take literacy, um, which generally consists of our teaching them one of our Western European languages under less than optimum conditions, guaranteeing a necessarily low level of competence. How could it be otherwise when the level of public literacy is appallingly low even within our advanced Caucasoid strongholds abroad? Our gift of literacy means the basic ability to succumb to simplified Caucasoid religion, simplified Caucasoid ethics, and simplified Caucasoid ads. Even within the industrialized West, public education accomplishes little more with the vast majority of students. In medicine, it is undeniable that our exported progress has brought the wonders of Western medicine to afflicted and less advanced non-Caucasoid people. Oh my gosh! Let me put my glasses on. Okay. A very small fraction of them is not to denigrate the superhuman effort and devotion of doctors, nurses, and doctor missionaries to suggest that, on balance, it wasn't worth it by infinite, infamous, infamous, hold on, infamous, infamous, Mali, infiniteless, infinitely, um, improving the infant mortality rate. We have succeeded in contributing to overpopulation in the underdeveloped and, for the most part, non-Caucasoid world. If more people live longer, more people will also endure the span of years in poverty and in the shadow of famine. Our medicine has co-signed more to life, but in too many instances, to a life not worth living. Besides, there is a apocalyptic geometry, to progress, a dark multiism quality to the entire concept. Even within the advanced Caucasoid redoubts of the industrial West, it is not much. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. It is not much of a question of progress in medicine, but a question of progress versus medicine. In 1974, the United Nations World Health Organization released statistics that were a bitter pill for our progressive pretensions to swallow. All of males reaching the age of 20, men in petitions to swallow. All of men, okay. Men in industrialized countries have a lesser chance of attaining the age of 65 than their brothers in underdeveloped countries. The inescapable conclusion is that non-Caucasoids were always better off without our notion of progress, and we ourselves are beginning to be better off without it. We have already exceeded critical mass in our experiments with progress. Progress in medicine vie for human life. In addition to the well known fact that progressive pollution of ourselves and our environment has increased, the incidence of degenerate diseases like cancer and heart disease throughout the Western world, there is a lesser known fact that our war technology may very well be promoting epidemic disease of rare virulence. More than one expert has voiced the opinion that the mysterious Legionnaire's disease, which struck delegates to an American Legion convention in Philadelphia in 1976, was caused by escaped toxins associated with chemical biological warfare research. The swine flu scare of 1975-76 also was suspiciously military overtones. The four original casualties of swine flu were soldiers stationed at Fort Dix, New Jersey. Biological warfare agents were stored at Fort Dix, and swine influenza is a prime CBW research agent. Okay. As early as 1969, U.S. Congressman Richard D. McCarthy published evidence linking epidemic diseases in man, domestic cattle, wildlife, and food crops to escape CBW toxins. Most incidents up until 1969 had taken place in the vicinity of the Fort Detrick, Maryland, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and Dugway Proving Grounds, Utah. CBW research installations, excuse me, thanks to experiments at Fort Detrick, Mountains, spotted fever now in New England and Venezuela, Euquin, unsur, and serpentis. There we go. A serp, a serpulus. There we go. Occurs among wildlife and the southeastern states. Both are CBW experiments, experimental strains. There we go. In September of 1976, researchers have learned, it's so hot out here, y'all, have learned that bubonic plague is present among Colorado wildlife in the vicinity of Rocky Mountain Arsenal, where that agent is stored. Recent evidence raises the ominous possibility that CBW research may have already promoted a massive cost Clostridia epidemic among U.S. domestic cattle over the past over the past 3 years. Some 1,500 cattle in 22 American states have been found mysteriously mutilated. Mutilated is a misnomer. The dead cattle have been found with selected organs and tissues surgically removed, and the organs and tissues in question are usually those needed to determine Clostridia infection. All of, I mean, of all mutilated cattle later auto, autopsy, some 40% have been found to be infected with Clostridia bacteria. The mysterious mutilators, whoever they are, apparently use military helicopters, and the conclusion is becoming inescapable must that they must enjoy government protection, since the mutilators are never revealed by official searchers or searchage. um, it is as if some government agency were attempted to monitor the extent and virulence of a still secret but widespread Clostridia epidemic. And it only remains to be said that there are 93 species there are 93 species of the Clostridia bacterial genus. Um, Several species are research agents, particularly C. botulini, I mean, bot, bot, botulinum. There we go. It seems that medicine, as one proof of progress, is rapidly losing um, lives in the struggle against other aspects of progress. Medicine cannot be considered a vindication of rampant progress. Rather, medicine is rapidly becoming an adequate defense against it. Our military activities, purposeful and accidental, are not in the are not the only threats our culture present to the rest of the world. even our peaceful activities are proven harmful. A report prepared by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency in 1974, designated Office of Political Research 401, attempts to assess the political and social implications of climate change. The report notes that although there appear to be natural cycles of climatic change, the world, and the world appears to be entering a natural period of cooling. Man-made industrial pollution and the atmosphere must now be regarded as a major contributing factor to the severity and rapidity rapidi, rap, rapidity, oh my gosh, of climate alteration. The CIA estimated that from 20 to 30% of all atmospheric dust is now man-made. So I just want to make sure y'all enjoying the read. Um, be done in about, let's see how many pages. Oh, we'll be done in a couple pages, like 2 pages. We got 2 pages to go, and I'm gonna end this. Thank y'all for the likes. I appreciate y'all. Hey, hello, Valuli. How you doing? If you still here, I got into like that train of thought. Like as far as reading or whatever, I be like so focused, man. I really be so focused, bro. Hope you still there. Hope you enjoying your day. And we just out here reading, man. We just if you still here. All right. This unnatural addition to atmospheric dust has two effects. The first is the enhancement of the greenhouse effect and contributes to warming of the Earth's surface. But the second and much greater effect is a reduction in the amount of sunlight which reaches the Earth's surface. The dust reflects more sunlight back into space. The net result of these two effects is a distinct cooling of the Earth's surface, and simultologists have already concluded that it is having an adverse and possibly irreversible influence upon global weather patterns. Um, okay, cool. Wind patterns, which we once regarded as normal, have in the northern hemisphere shifted southward by an average of about 30 miles since 1940. The average annual temperature in Iceland has dropped almost 2 degrees F since has the average annual temperature in Iceland has dropped almost 2 degrees F Fahrenheit since 1945. The growing season and the British Isles have has been reduced by a week. The tropics have not gone unaffected by the southerly shift of wind patterns. Since 1950, the de-escalating winds of northern Africa have shifted southward, and the Sahara Desert has expanded to encroach on the once arable lands of the Sahelia. The resulting famine in sub-Saharan Africa has been a world tragedy for the past decade. The monsoons have failed. The monsoons have failed twice since 1964, visiting famine upon the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia. uh, Soviet crops failed in 1972. The CIA report lists the adverse climatic changes of the early 1970s. Uh, Tersely, I believe that's the word. The world snow and ice over. I mean, oh my gosh, the world snow and ice cover had increased by at least 10 to 15% in the eastern Canadian area of Arctic Greenland. Below normal temperatures were recorded for 19 consecutive months for the first time in 100 years. The Moscow region suffered its worst drought in 3 to 500 years. Drought occurred in Central America, the Sub-Sahara, South Asia, China, and Australia. Massive floods took place in the Midwestern United States. The implications of climatic change are staggering. Europe presently with an annual mean temperature. We'll make sure I get the comments. Temperature of 12 degrees centigrade supports 3 persons per arable hectare, but an average temperature of only 1 degree centigrade less would mean that only 2 persons per arable hectare could be supported, and that more than 20% of the population could not be fed from domestic sources. In China, the picture is much worse. China presently supports 7 persons per arable hectare at the present annual mean temperature. A decline in the average temperature of 1 degree centigrade would mean in China that only 4 persons could be supported per arable hectare, and that 43% of the population could not be fed from domestic sources. Dr. J.E. Kutzbach of the University of Wisconsin has undertaken a study on climatic uh, change during the past 1600 years. He concludes that at best the world is returning to the climate which existed from 1600 AD to 1850 AD. The neo-bureau burial of Little Ice Age, characterized by broad strips of excessive deficit in rainfall in middle latitudes and extensive failure of the monsoon. It says, what would a return to the climate mean today? Based on the Wisconsin study, it will mean that India will have a major drought every 4 years and could support only three-fourths of her present population. The world reserves would have to supply 30 to 50 million metric tons of grain each year to prevent deaths to 150 million Indians. China, with a major famine every 5 years, would require an annual supply of 50 million metric tons of grain. The Soviet Union would lose uh, Kazakh, Kaz, Kazakhstan. Oh my gosh, why am I getting this word wrong? Oh shit, Kazakhstan. I'm gonna say it right eventually. I'll probably edit this more likely and put it what I'm trying to say. for grain population, thereby showing a yearly loss of 48 million metric ton of grain. Canada, a major exporter, would lose over 50% of production capability and 75% of exporting. Oh my gosh, bro! Y'all just go get on me, huh? Northern Europe will lose 25 to 30% grain production capability, while the common market countries would zero their exports. It must be emphasized that this sort of climatic change is already occurring in sub-Saharan Africa, Central America, and South Asia are already suffering abnormally frequent droughts, and millions have already died. Western no, technical, technological culture, by polluting the atmosphere, has contributed to the severity and rapidity of a cycle of climatic change. In fact, atmospheric dust may have stimulated the onset of uh, clinical uh, syn- cynical change. Another of our peaceful activities presents the world with appalling threat: nuclear power generation. In Sweden alone, among Western nations, there is a moratorium on nuclear power development until solutions to the problem of nuclear waste disposal are found. But somewhere in the West, in the development of nuclear power generation progresses in spite of the fact that we will be faced immediately with the task of disposing the waste materials, which can poison the environment for 20,000 years. It is known that fish can poison the environment. Um, it is known that fish and shellfish in the. I'm sorry. Let me read that over real quick. It is known that fish and shellfish in the North Sea already show signs of radiation contamination because of the nuclear pollution caused by a French uranium enrichment plant on the Channel Coast during the winter of 1977 and 78. A Soviet nuclear powered satellite re-entered the atmosphere and crashed in in northern Canada, leaving radioactive materials in around Great Slave Lake in April 1978. A U.S. nuclear power monitoring device was lost in a Himalayan avalanche, and its plutonium fuel may eventually contaminate India's Highland River, the Granges. I believe that's what it is. In spite of the assurances of the nuclear power promoters, nuclear power is not and was never a safe energy source. Nuclear accidents have occurred but have been covered up. A Soviet nuclear power station in the Urals exploded in the late 1950s and contaminated large areas with radiation. Um, the Enrico Fermi reactor outside Detroit experienced a fuel meltdown in the early 1960s, but luckily the fuel did not achieve the critical mass and configuration needed for nuclear explosion. Canada's experimental reactor at Chalk River has twice experienced difficulties resulting in environmental contamination. A British military breeder reactor near Seascale on the Irish Sea caught fire in 19 in October 1957. What's up, man? Hey, what you doing? Reading. Oh, that's a good one. Something like you're going to read all the things. Y'all, I'm gonna end this video. Peace. Thank you for tuning in, y'all.